Today I'm going to be talking to you about the new XVR UI. This is found in our LE series recorders, mostly the Pen DVRs. So moving on, let's go ahead and log in. And this is just basically admin123. I don't have a hard drive installed, so it'll tell me if I don't have a hard drive. Click OK. And here's the UI. This is the same UI that you will find locally to the device. So it's easy to use. Top left corner here, you'll see some options. You have a few options here. Second page as well. Now, moving into clicking on camera, you can actually edit your camera's type, UTP or coaxial, the period 1 or 2, and your options here when it comes to the sharpness, hue, contrast, and so on and so forth. If you go to encode, you can select your compression type, your resolution, smart codec, and then so on and so forth. Snapshot, overlay. Here's where you can actually name your camera. See here, I've named it tester. Then you have your path where you would like to save your snapshots using the web interface. Here you can select, C drive, and then record download would be the folder. Moving into our video detect, this is a motion detect menus. You can select your channels here. You can enable your PIR, set a period, basically the schedule where this rule would be in place, your region, the areas where you want to actually cover. Only the red areas here would be triggered, and then you can set the sensitivity and the threshold. I'll go ahead and cancel that. By default, your region is the entire screen, unless, let's say, you have an object here that keeps on moving like a tree. And you can just basically select that area, save it, and it will ignore all movement in that area, so it won't trigger any motion event. Now, based on this event, you can select to create a tour. Select the tour on a PDZ. This tour is basically what channels would be presented to you if you're viewing it locally. And then if you're going to create a snapshot of your cameras. So let's say if you have a motion on channel 1, and channel 1 also has a couple cameras in the front, you can actually select a couple cameras just to do your snapshot. If you have the ability to record your audio, you can do voice prompts. It will actually output audio through the recorder, such as an alert, intruder alert, and such. If you go to PTZ, here you can select the channel where the PTZ is located, the type of PTZ, your communication type, serial or SCCVI, and your protocol. It supports mainly most of all the protocols here. Usually it's spelled code DRP, which is the generics, and so on and so forth. So your baud rate and data stop bits, parity, and so on and so forth. Channel type, here you can select CVI, AHT, CVBS, which is your analog and or other. Normally this is set to auto. It'll actually detect what the input technology is, unless you select, let's say you want to make this 8-channel recorder, 16-channel recorder. If I do that, I save it, it's going to reboot, and then first 8, it's going to be whatever I selected here. If I selected IP, it basically turns into a full NVR. Or you can do a couple coaxial cameras and then your IP cameras. So moving on to network. Here you can notice that there's tabbing. So network, here's your IP settings, your ports, HTTPS certification if you would like to add that. Wi-Fi, it's not used in this type of recorder. There is no other network card, same as the 3G and 4G. PoE, that's another way to connect. You have your DDNS, where you can select to have your DDNS entered in here. Usually we use TechPro DDNS for that. Then you have your email, so you can get alerts. A UPnP, this is universal plug and play. It's something that we strongly not suggest utilizing, because in many cases it can actually open ports that you don't like to have opened. More than likely just open ports manually as opposed to using UPnP. SNMP is another protocol for troubleshooting your recorder, multicast, and your register, alarm center, P2P. This is basically where you can utilize P2P option to port forward your recorder without any port forwarding. And in reality, it's not port forwarding. All you're doing is accessing a server that has access to your recorder. In some cases, this is something that you don't want to do. In many cases, your ISP doesn't allow you to open up ports, so this is your option for that. So next option is storage. Storage here, I don't have anything added to this unit, but here you can actually add what you would like to do. When the hard drive is full, you can overwrite, or you can stop recording completely. Usually it's overwrite, so where if your recorder has enough space for your cameras to be recording for 30 days, then after the 31st day or the first day of the month, it's going to start recording the old footage by the minute. So here's file length, time length that you can actually select. 60 minutes, file length 1024, which is 1 megabyte, and then so on and so forth. Schedule, you can select your motion recordings, your general recordings, and then motion and alarm, and so on and so forth. This is where you can actually select the channel to be recording in 24 mode, motion detection, or an alarm based on dates and times. Your hard drive manager, I don't have any hard drive, so it'll actually tell you the hard drive name, what it's being used, health, and then how much free space you have, and so on and so forth. Here you can select what channels you want to record, if anything. You can do manual, where you would have to actually manually set it to record. Let's say if a camera is inside of your home and you don't want to record unless you want to do it manually, then you can do that through here. Same as snapshot. Snapshot, if it's not enabled, it's not going to go doing any other rule. This is the main enabler for all the other rules that you saw earlier today. FTP, that's self-explanatory. You next export your footage to an FTP server based on a time and date. All right, so moving on to account. Here you can add, remove, add groups of users and give them permissions, as well as having an OBIF user. You can do that. OBIF is basically a universal protocol. This can be used to integrate with other services and or hardware. All right, so that's everything in here. Info is giving you the information of the OBIF version, the firmware version and build date, serial number, and then everything else. This is the 8-channel recorder, so it'll show you 8 channels, how many alarm inputs, and how many alarm outputs. Now in the log, here you can actually search what has happened during the day. Now this is a new unit, so there's nothing in here. But in your case, once you start using it, you'll see you can select system log, configuration, storage, any other type of logs that would be pertaining on any type of operation of this unit. Going to network. Network here is just basically telling you what user and what group from where. Here's the login time. where they logged in from, and then what's the user and so on and so forth. It's really good for in cases where you have an authorized user, then you can actually find where that came from, and you can actually even block that IP if you have the option in your router. Hard drive is just basically the status of the hard drive, smart, and then so on and so forth. And that's basically what's in here. So if I close all these, you can go into live. That's self-explanatory. That's your cameras. Bottom here, you'll see Start Talk with a drop down. This is your audio settings for your two-way audio. If you have a microphone in your computer, you can actually do so, as well as having an amplifier or some sort of a speaker on the recorder side. Instant record, it's manual record. Top right corner here, you see PTZ options up and down, what the speed is for going left and right, up and down, zooming in, autofocus, and so on and so forth. Then you have your preset that you can actually create here. PTZ menu can be used for the OSD if the PTZ has the OSD, or if it's any other camera, you can use that here, along with plus Iris, which is generic for many of the cameras. Going back into our menu, we'll see video, which is our footage. Top right corner here, you can actually select by month and year, the date that you want to find, and the cameras that you want to select. As well as here, there's a file list. You can actually go through that, or you can use the timeline. Since I don't have any footage at the moment, there's nothing in this recorder that I can show you. But you see here it's green, red, yellow, blue, and purple. These are markings. Once there's any type of footage, you'll see the markings in the timeline, what type of recording it is. And let's say if you're recording 24/7 plus motion, you'll see the green bar all the way, along with little specks of yellow bars in here, indicating that around that time there was some type of motion in that particular channel. So that is the video, also known as the footage tab. Under alarm, here is where you would see alarm information, motion detection, tampering, and abnormal. Usually that's, let's say, a hard drive is going bad. It'll show you here, sort of like another log option for your recorder. Alarm input. Here's where you actually can designate what, how the alarm input is being treated as either normally open, normally closed, what it's going to be doing, what's the schedule for that input, and then what you want to do with the input that you're getting. Alarm box is currently not connected. It's a little box that's connected to the unit via RS-232, and you can actually have extra alarm inputs and outputs to add to your recorder. HDCVI alarm, something that we don't use. Some of the cameras may have this option. The cameras that we have in our lineup do not have that at the moment. Alarm output, same as alarm input, just basically output to whatever you would like. If you want to do, let's say, based on a motion, output to a relay, and then that relay can handle anything else. It's always good to have an external relay handle everything, and then just basically the recorder will engage that external relay, as opposed to connecting something directly to the recorder that would make sure that it doesn't damage the recorder itself. IVS. is intelligence. So we can, at the moment, I don't have a camera connected to this, but you can actually add, uh, by clicking here, you can add rules and draw your rules based on, let's say, a line, something that was left on the location. Uh, Somebody's actually going through an area. You can actually say, okay, anything going from one side to the other, and then so on and so forth. Here's all your menus for that. Then you have your IoT. Uh, Basically, temperature sensors and such. This is something that we don't have here. You can search by settings and so on and so forth. Wireless firing. Uh, that's something that may come in the future in our lineup. And backup. This is where you can actually do a full-blown backup of your footage. Uh, Either local PC, and then so on and so forth. Select your areas and then click on bookmark. You can also select a watermark, like a little small image. That way you protect your footage. And that's your backup there. Selecting the second page, you have display. Here, you can have it display your time, channel titles, IBS rules. IBS rules, basically the lines that you had created before, they come up in a red line or a square, whatever rule that you select, and it'll show up in the live preview, and you can actually see if something has triggered that. Usually it would blink and showing you that something did trigger that rule, and then it'll execute whatever you have added to that. Now in here's something really interesting. Normally this will come in this resolution, but in many cases there's some cases where it actually has a higher resolution. It's always best to actually access the unit using the web interface. That way you can actually select this as opposed to be locally. Sometimes this will be higher than whatever the monitor will allow, and all you would see is a black screen, and you would think that the unit is bad, when it's not the case. It's just basically a resolution mismatch. Now you can actually enable your extra screen by the VGA port or HDMI, and you can select the resolution as well. So you can have two outputs in this unit itself. Then you have your zero channel. You can enable that. If you don't want, you don't have to enable that, but the zero channel is basically a conjunction of all your channels in one small square. It's something that can be used for, let's say, commercial location where you want to show your clientele that they're being watched and to thread lightly, basically. Then you have your tour. Here's where you can actually select and create tours. Then you have your extra screen. You can do the tours for that as well. And that's basically the XVR UI in our glory. If you have any questions or concerns, please give us a call at 866-573-8878. Thank you for watching.